Welcome to Around the House Northwest, presented by PGE and Oregon Kind of Energy.
Welcome into another edition of Around the House Northwest here on Fox 12 Plus. I'm Eric G. Coming up on today's show, I'll talk with Greg Police from Klein Tools about their latest products on the market. I'll also catch up with Simon Bowler from Bespoke Garden Architecture about his world-class gazebos made using old-school craftsmanship. As always, I got a few pro tips to help you with your next DIY project. And we're going to test out some budget products. But first, we always kick off the show with our Perform Like a Pro segment. Doesn't matter if you're a first-time DIYer or a licensed contractor, I got some tips for you. I had some old closet doors that desperately needed to be replaced. Here's a quick look at how I modernized a bedroom by installing some mirrored doors in their place.
Now it's time for Perform Like a Pro.
All right, guys, today we're gonna do a bedroom upgrade. We're gonna swap out these 1970s closet doors with a set of mirror ones, and it's really easy. So let me show you how. The first thing we're gonna do here though is we're gonna get these things out of the way so we can put the new ones in. And there's a couple things with these doors to keep in mind. Sometimes there's a bottom track that you have to loosen that, get it out of the way. This one doesn't have it, so we're good. So the first thing we're gonna do is, since they're free swinging at the bottom, is I'm gonna grab them and lift up because they're just hanging off the track above. And being that they're hollow core, these are really light. All right, guys, our next step is to take this track down, but here's a little bit of inside information on how this is built up here. There's a big header that's behind this drywall, and basically every house has it. And so that is carrying the load of the structure above, so it gives us a lot of meat to hang the new track into. As long as you stay back a ½ inch off the wall, you'll have something really strong up there. So let's get this track down. All right, guys, I can't say this enough. There's a couple things you need to have: safety glasses and some good cut-proof gloves. No matter when you're dealing with glass or not, it's a good idea to stay safe. Now, the instructions are pretty clear. They're pretty easy. The first thing we're gonna do following these is we're gonna install this top channel, which is this big piece right here. So I'm gonna get some dimensions of this. Now, one thing I wanna check here is our height, because the maximum height of this is 81 inches, and I'm really, really close. So I'm about 81 3/8 here, so I'm gonna cut a piece of wood to put up to this to bring it down. That way I don't have to add a custom door to this, because nobody wants to have to do that. I like to do it off the shelf, so I'll cut that. All right, guys, another little trick. I took that track down that fit perfectly above it, so I'm gonna use it just as a template for this one. That way we know what it is. So I'm gonna mark this out right here. All right, so we're gonna use this metal saw here. This has got a special blade on it designed to cut steel and aluminum. So safety glasses are key. This is gonna drop metal shards everywhere. So you gotta be really careful when using a power saw when you're cutting metal. Let's do it. All right, the next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cut that little wooden block to put up there to space that, so that way it brings it down and we fit in the standard size. That's what's next. All right, so I'm gonna get some screws, mount this flush, because that's where we're gonna mount the track. All right, let's start out by getting this track up here. Get it lined up with the holes that I drilled. That's what kind of makes this a little bit easier, is that I can get this up in here and get the holes lined up, and I know that I'm in here straight. All right, guys, the top track is in. The last thing we have to do in getting the track installed is doing the bottom track, and there's two pieces to that. So I'm gonna start out by getting a measurement here, and then we're gonna have to cut this wood strip and our bottom metal track, because this is a little bit different than the old doors. The rollers are on the bottom instead of the top. All right, guys, gonna cut this to 55 1/4. I'm gonna make sure that I've got that lined up because I have two pieces here. All right, there we go. Let's go install that bottom track, get some doors hung. All right, so this bottom track is actually offset back 1.5 inches, so make sure you read the directions and get the right model because they're all different. But I have to bring this back 1.5 inches. Well, here, 1.5 inches is really easy because I've got something to measure from. On this flat wall, I don't. So I'm gonna get out my plumb bob here. We're going old school. We're gonna get out this old plumb bob here, which I've had since the beginning of time. And I'm gonna measure where this lands And that's gonna be my starting point. So I can come right here and just bring this down. And I can see right on the floor where that mark is. And it's right there on a little seam that I can see. So now I know I can mark that back from there. All right, now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make sure and push my wood all the way over to the end over there, which is where it is. And I'm gonna carefully lift this up. All right, guys, let's get the hammer out, put 3 nails in this. Get one in the middle here. All right, our next step is to place this bottom track, and this is what the door is actually gonna glide on. Keep that up against this wall here, because this is all gonna get finished and caulked in when it's all said and done, because I still have to refinish this room. So let me get 3 screws here. And this is the last little bit of installing the track. All right, guys, let's get these doors installed. I'm gonna first sit here and get the top in and drop it back in. All right, let's get the last one in here carefully. These are pretty durable, so don't be too scared of them. All right, guys, under 200 bucks, brand new mirror doors, and I know you can do it. This is an easy project.